Welcome back to Xanthia Games. Today's video is going to be something different. I have a wide range of gaming hobbies and interests. Board games are something I grew up playing. Today specifically we are going to be talking about Dungeon Quest. Originally published in Sweden in 1985, was later published in English by Games Workshop in 1987. The objective of this game, for 1 to 4 players, is to enter the ruins of Dragonfire Castle at dawn, when the castle's guardian dragon falls asleep, navigate a labyrinth to the dragon's hoard at the centre of the castle, and then try to make your way to the exit. The game ends at sunset. Any characters still in the castle at that point are automatically killed by the dragon. The player who successfully escapes from the castle with the largest amount of treasure is the winner. I happen to own a physical copy of the revised edition, but today we are going to be playing on Steam using Tabletop Simulator. This Tabletop Simulator version of Dungeon Quest did not have any 3D models, so I did my best making my own using Hero Forge. I think they turned out pretty close to the source material. So let's get started. This adventure will be run using Hugo the Glorious. Hugo will start in one of the dungeon's corner towers. You can see on Hugo's character sheet he has 16 health points on the top right. He also has a few abilities listed on the card below. If you and the monster choose the same type of combat card, the monster suffers 1 wound and Hugo suffers 0. This is if the player uses the monster cards to determine combat outcomes. I am a D&D player, so I prefer a more straightforward combat style. I simply roll 2 20-sided dice, and the higher number wins. A 20 will be a critical hit doing double damage, and a tie will result in Hugo doing damage to the monster as a result of his special ability. Also, each time Hugo defeats a monster in combat, he gets 1 additional rune card. Rune cards are akin to spells the player can use. At the start of the game, I drew 1 rune card. Hugo received the Rune of Warning. If Hugo draws a trap card, he can discard his rune without resolving the trap. So let's begin. Hugo enters the dungeon at sunrise. For the glories he will accomplish here, his name shall be revered for all time. As he entered the room, a quick glance around would seem the room is empty. Not a bad start to the illustrious adventurer's journey. The sun moves across the sky as Hugo decides to take the northern passageway. Hugo steps into the room, his eyes darting over every shadow and corner as he surveys his surroundings with guarded intent. As his gaze sweeps the room, a sudden flurry of motion erupts from above. A swarm of razor-winged bats descends with a shrill cacophony, their blade-like wings slicing through the air as they dive toward him with deadly precision. Hugo rolls 1 dice and subtracts 2, resulting in suffering 1 wound. Hugo has 15 health remaining. Time drifts onward in the unseen world above, but within the dungeon's oppressive depths, Hugo passes through the northern corridor. The stale air and dim torchlight is only companions. The corridor tapers into a narrow passage, the walls closing in tightly as it curves sharply to the east, the faint scent of damp stone growing stronger with every step. The passage opens into a small, unexpected chamber with wooden floors that creak faintly under Hugo's weight. At the far end of the room, half buried in a layer of dust, he spots a worn leather bag. Upon opening it, a soft jingle reveals its contents. 30 gleaming gold coins, their shine a stark contrast to the gloom around him. The room is a clear dead end, the wooden floors and bare walls offering little hope at first glance. Undeterred, Hugo decides to search thoroughly, running his hands along the walls and tapping for hollow spaces, determined to uncover a secret door hidden within the chamber. After a thorough search, Hugo finds no hidden doors or clues in the empty room. Resigned, he adjusts his gear and turns back the way he came, his footsteps echoing softly in the stillness. Returning to the previous room, Hugo freezes as a chilling presence emerges, a lingering shade, its translucent form wreathed in an eerie, otherworldly glow. It drifts toward him with deliberate malice, its touch sapping warmth and vitality. Hugo's weapons are useless against it, and he feels the oppressive weight of its intent to drain the very life from his body. Hugo must roll a saving throw at the start of each turn. 2 dice. If Hugo rolls a 2, the shade shall take his life. This card remains with Hugo until he exits the dungeon or enters the catacombs below. Time drifts on as the shade looms closer, its presence pressing heavily on Hugo's spirit. He feels it trying to siphon his life essence, a cold pull on his very soul, but with sheer will he resists its grasp. Shaking off the oppressive force, Hugo moves east, entering another room. As Hugo steps into the room, his foot triggers a hidden mechanism with a sharp click. Before he can react, vents in the walls hiss open, releasing a thick, greenish gas that begins to fill the chamber. The air grows heavy, the sickly sweet scent of poison clinging to every breath. Realizing the danger, Hugo holds his breath and darts back toward the exit. Moving swiftly, he escapes the room before the toxic gas can harm him, the hiss of the vents fading as he shuts the door behind him. It should be noted, Hugo should have lost a turn here, but the dungeon master failed to enforce that rule due to lack of attention or other shortcoming. Time drifts on, unseen but felt. The shade lingers at the edges of Hugo's senses, its attempts to steal his life, faltering against his resilience. Pressing forward, Hugo ventures further east, determined to escape the malevolent force and uncover what lies ahead. The passage ends in a desolate chamber, where the lifeless form of an adventurer rests against the cold stone wall, their stillness a haunting testament to the dungeon's peril. Hugo kneels beside the lifeless adventurer, carefully searching their tattered belongings. Among the decay, he discovers a small pouch containing 50 gold coins, a silent echo of their final journey. As another hour slips by, the shade lingers, its attempts to drain Hugo's life thwarted once again by his resilience. Trapped in the dead-end chamber, Hugo has no choice but to methodically search the walls, floor and corners, hoping to uncover a hidden door that might lead him forward. Hugo uncovers a hidden stairway carved into the stone, descending into the dark, foreboding catacombs below. Though he knows the shade won't follow, and the dangers are inevitable, he hesitates, realizing this may be his only path forward. Time drifts forward, and once more the shade's attempts to drain Hugo's life falter against his resolve. With no other path remaining, Hugo descends into the catacombs, leaving the lingering shade behind in the darkness above. With incredible fortune, Hugo stumbles upon an immediate exit from the catacombs, a narrow passage leading up and out of the oppressive depths. Not one to tempt fate, he wastes no time and takes the escape route, leaving the dangers of the catacombs behind. Climbing out of the catacombs, he finds himself in a barren room, its walls bare and silent. 3 doorways stand before him, each leading in a different direction, their dark thresholds offering no hint of what lies beyond. Time shifts once more as Hugo chooses the eastern path. It leads to a room dominated by a massive, imposing door. Ancient runes etched into its surface shimmer faintly, and beyond it lies the fabled chamber of the dragon's treasure, the air thick with a sense of guarded power. In the centre of the room lies the crumpled form of a dead adventurer, their armour scorched and their equipment in disarray. The lifeless body serves as a grim warning of the dangers guarding the dragon's treasure beyond the towering door. Hugo kneels to search the adventurer's body, but as he shifts a piece of torn fabric, a hidden scorpion strikes out, its sting sharp and sudden. Pain flares through his hand as he pulls back, feeling the venom course briefly before subsiding. Hugo loses 2 health, leaving him with 13 health remaining. Grimacing, he presses on. Determined to proceed, Hugo pushes against the massive door, but as he does, a hidden mechanism activates with a loud click. Before he can react, a spear shoots out from the wall, striking him with brutal force. The trap leaves him reeling, its sharp edge a painful reminder of the dangers surrounding the dragon's treasure. The trap does 4 damage. Hugo has 9 health remaining. With time pressing against him, Hugo steels himself and pushes the door once more. This time, it creaks open, revealing the vast expanse of the dragon's lair. The air is heavy with heat and the faint metallic scent of treasure. Shadows dance across piles of glittering gold and jewels, but the oppressive silence warns that danger is near. Hugo steps cautiously into the chamber, fully aware of the peril that awaits. The dragon lies motionless, its massive form rising and falling with each deep, rumbling breath. Moving with utmost care, Hugo creeps toward the glittering piles of treasure. Hugo's eyes catch on a peculiar artifact amidst the hoard, a curious chest known as the Artifact Eater, notorious for its unpredictable nature. With steady hands, he secures it, knowing it could either devour his spoils or reward him with riches beyond imagining. Nearby, he spots a gleaming rune scarab, its intricate carvings radiating faint magical energy. He pockets it carefully, its worth a staggering 400 gold if he manages to survive and escape the dragon's lair. Hugging the shadows, Hugo prepares to retreat. With no way to retrace his steps, Hugo presses eastward, clutching his newfound treasures as he searches for another way out of the dungeon. The oppressive weight of time bears down on him. Dusk approaches swiftly, and with it, the dragon's awakening. Each step feels heavier as he pushes forward, hoping to find an escape before the beast stirs. Hugo steps into the next room and halts, the air thick with the unmistakable chill of death. Rows of ancient sarcophagi line the crypt, their carved faces staring silently into the gloom. Recognizing the danger, he suppresses his curiosity and is unwilling to risk disturbing whatever lies within. Deciding the crypt is too perilous, Hugo retreats south, only to find himself in a dimly lit chamber. Standing in his path is a towering demon, its crimson eyes glowing with malice and its jagged claws flexing in anticipation. The air crackles with heat and menace as the creature blocks the way forward, leaving Hugo no choice but to face this new threat. Hugo will be represented by the green dice, and the demon will be red. The battle rages, each clash of steel against infernal flesh, echoing through the chamber. Hugo fights with all his strength, narrowly dodging the demon's savage blows. After what feels like an eternity, he delivers the final strike, channeling his will to banish the creature back to the abyss. As the demon fades with a guttural roar, Hugo collapses to one knee, battered and bloodied. His vision blurs, his breath's ragged. He's alive, but just barely, clinging to the edge of life. Hugo has only 2 health remaining. After the battle, Hugo has gained the Rune of Luck. If he fails a saving throw, he will succeed instead. Wounded and weary, Hugo presses eastward, his focus narrowing to the path ahead. Without warning, the ground gives way beneath him, and he plummets through a hidden trapdoor. Though the fall is jarring, he lands without further injury, looking up at the opening above. Wounded but resolute, Hugo begins his climb, testing his agility against the slick, uneven walls. Midway up, his foot slips, and for a moment, he feels himself falling. But the Rune of Luck tucked in his pouch flares with a soft warmth, its magic turning failure into fortune. Against all odds, Hugo finds a solid grip and continues upward, pulling himself free of the pit and moving on. The next room is empty. Fortune or luck. There is still no clear path out of the dungeon and time is running out. Heading cautiously north through the dimly lit halls, Hugo suddenly feels the Rune of Warning pulse with a faint, urgent heat. Recognizing the danger, he halts just in time to hear the hiss of another gas trap springing to life. Thanks to the rune's timely alert, he swiftly steps back, avoiding the deadly fumes as they dissipate harmlessly ahead. Continuing north, Hugo enters another crypt, its cold air heavy with the weight of untold dangers. He spares only a glance at the shadowed sarcophagi lining the room, deeming it far too perilous to search. Continuing north, Hugo presses on, his steps cautious yet steady. Luck favours him as he enters the next room, where a small pile of 40 gold coins gleams faintly on the dusty floor. Wasting no time, he gathers the coins, grateful for the unexpected fortune, and prepares to move on. Pressing onward as the day wanes, Hugo steps into a pitch-black room, the oppressive darkness swallowing him whole. Feeling his way along the cold, unyielding walls, he searches for an exit. Finally, he stumbles upon a doorway and moves west, emerging into an empty room, its silence as heavy as the darkness he just left behind. Realising his mistake, Hugo retraces his steps eastward, navigating the pitch-black room once again. This time, he discovers a passage leading further east and steps into the next chamber, only to find his path blocked by a wide chasm. Nearby, the lifeless form of an adventurer lies crumpled on the floor. The air feels heavy with danger, and Hugo knows better than to risk searching the body. With no way to cross the chasm, he turns south, seeking another way forward. Heading cautiously south, Hugo enters another room, its only path leading further into the southern depths. A knot of unease grows in his chest as he realises the day is slipping away, and each step seems to draw him further from the dungeon's exit. In this room, he discovers a stone stairway spiralling downward into the catacombs below, their ominous darkness beckoning with both risk and potential escape. He hesitates at the top of the stairway, weighing his options. Does he descend into the unknown dangers of the catacombs, hoping for salvation? Or does he continue south, risking whatever lies ahead in his bid to find another way out? Dungeon Master note: the sun was moved twice this turn, because it was not moved last turn. Choosing to head south, Hugo steps cautiously into another unlit room, the suffocating darkness pressing in around him. By sheer luck, his hand brushes against the outline of a doorway to the west. Passing through, he halts as a chilling realization dawns. He's gone in a circle, retracing his earlier steps. To make matters worse, his torch flickers and dies, plunging him into total darkness. Muttering under his breath, he fumbles with his flint, sparks dancing as he works to relight it, the weight of the day's trials bearing heavily on him. As Hugo fumbles to relight his torch, a deep, ominous shift seems to ripple through the dungeon. The unseen sun dips below the horizon, and with it, dusk falls. The sound of grinding stone echoes through the halls as the dungeon's great doors slam shut, sealing him inside. A low, earth-shaking growl reverberates from deep within, followed by the unmistakable roar of an awakening dragon. The air grows heavy with the scent of sulphur and impending doom. Hugo the Glorious, valiant yet weary, tightens his grip on his fading courage. But courage cannot outmatch the inevitable. In the end, the mighty dragon claims its prize, and Hugo's tale becomes a somber legend whispered among adventurers, a warning of hubris and the perilous pull of greed. Hugo the Glorious is no more, consumed by the beast in the heart of the dungeon. Thank you for listening to my tale. Please like and subscribe. More adventures will be told, and fortunately for us, this will not be the last tale told of those who seek the dragon's treasure. So until then, good night, seekers of ancient tales.